right, I have Don Shainis on the show now, who picked up a big win at Cage Titans 50 over Quentin Weiland. Don, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Having a good day.
Yes, sir. And it was a big win. The ref actually stopped the fight after the second round due to advice from the corner. Did you see that coming, or did you feel like maybe your opponent was going to be able to answer the bell and you'd have a third round?
I wanted to go a third round. I don't think he wanted to go a third round. He was leaking from his nose, and I was beating him up pretty good. I don't think he had an answer for anything I was trying to do.
Did you have a game plan going into this fight? I mean, I know some fighters try and stick to a game plan, and other fighters just go out there and kind of do their thing. What are you typically like as a fighter?
I try not to overthink it. James called me today. James Krause, he called me that day, and he was like, "Look, man, just make smart choices and have fun." And that's all I wanted to do. So it wasn't the craziest fight I've ever been in. It was kind of a more one-sided beatdown, but I think I made every right decision I could have. And if it wasn't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So went out there first round, picked him up, slammed him, beating up the body, snuck a couple in, tons of pressure, and then took that philosophy into round two. Did the same exact thing, didn't get hit, and feel pretty good.
I love listening to the cornermen give advice and adjustments to their fighters, going into second, third, and so on rounds and whatnot. It doesn't sound like maybe you had many adjustments to be made. Did your corner just tell you, just keep doing the same thing that you're doing?
Yeah, so honestly, I don't even remember. They're just like, all right, relax, do the same thing. And I like it. I wasn't even like, I was just looking like, it wasn't that I wasn't listening. I was just like looking at my opponent. I just feel like he didn't want to be there anymore. And I was just like looking across the cage, and it was really tough for me to focus. But they said pressure in, and that's exactly what I did. I beat him straight up pressure.
So it sounds like you're pleased with the win. I know a lot of fighters, they want to make sure they either, get that sub or get that knockout, but a doctor stoppage, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. Are you still as happy as you could be if you got maybe a sub or a knockout?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I want that highlight reel finish every time. Are you kidding me? I mean, you can't be mad with the win, right? You just, but it wasn't as satisfying as I wanted. I'm looking for a quick turnaround.
So tell me a little bit about your camp, your training partners. Where are you at now, and who are some of the main guys that you're getting your day-to-day working with?
So my training camp's up in Missouri. I train out of Glory MMA and Fitness. James Krause is the leader out there. They got a great coaching staff: James Krause, Jason High, Austin Ford, and Grant Dawson. And dude, every round is different. If like the training partners every day, dude, you're getting put through the ringer, and it's something crazy. And you got guys in the UFC everywhere. You got guys on their way to the UFC, ready to take short notice fights. You got guys making their, pro debuts. You got amateurs that are absolute studs that are beating up on some of these pros, and it's just a crazy environment where everyone's putting their fingers together and helping everyone get up and over. So I'm extremely fortunate to be allowed in the room. Because feel like if you're a bad egg, you're not really welcome there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Glory MMA, one of the best gyms in the country. I got to ask you about my boy, the hard-hitting hillbilly. And of course, I'm talking about Kevin Kroom. He's got to be one of your main training partners. He's just a joy to be around. So tell me a little bit about what it's like training with him.
Yo, he's funny. So it's like, first of all, he's good. He's really good, and he's a dog. So it's like there's some days where it's like we'll be drilling together, then we go live. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And it's super competitive between me and him. And he's fun to be around. He's always laughing, joking, but he's also got so much insight. So it's really cool to be, just training next to Kroom, training with Kroom. But there's everyone in there is like that. Whether it's Kroom, whether it's Grant, whether it's Wade, it doesn't matter who it is. It's everyone's like that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are from the Northeast, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay. So how did you venture out to Glory? Tell me how that all came about.
I got super lucky. And by super lucky, I had to eat shit to be miserable all right. So this is what happened, right? The pandemic, everyone's got their stance on the pandemic, but financially it completely fucked me. I was supposed to fight April 4th for Cage Titans for the 145 title. My whole card get in 2020. My whole card gets canceled due to the pandemic. Then I pretty much lose my bartending gig that I did on the side, and then I invested in a business that we weren't making any money during the pandemic, so all my sources of income completely crashed. Um, and time's going on, thinking things are going to get better, and it's getting worse, and more time, and then I'm getting fat. Then I signed with Iridium, and the day I signed with Iridium, I got offered a short notice fight for the Contender Series. I couldn't accept; I was too heavy. Because all the gyms in Massachusetts, they were shut down. Couldn't get a treadmill. Couldn't get training partners. All the gyms, I'm talking conventional gyms. I'm talking MMA gyms. Dude, it got to the point where we're training in people's garages on a farm. It was actually kind of sick. Like there's this thing called Fight Farm during the pandemic that we go to this wedding venue and just set up mats and like a tent. We called it Fight Farm, and then like a couple of guys from the gym would get together. But there's no coaching, no direction, nothing. We were just going there, fucking around and having fun. But we were working hard. But it's not what you need, So I got kind of fat, and getting these opportunities, and I couldn't accept any of them because I was too fat, and that's fucking heartbreaking. So one day I had enough. I called my coach, Eric Grossman, and I'm like, look, get me out of this state. There were some things that were going on in my personal life that I'm like, you just get me the fuck out of here. So I talked to him, and he talked to my manager, Jason House, with Iridium. And then I guess House talked to James Krause. Krause and my coach ended up talking. I talked to my coach. He's like, yeah, go check this place out for a month. I talked to Krause on like a Friday. And I remember very specifically our conversation. And never before in my life I asked, like, why do you want to be part of this gym? It's always like, he's like, well, why? He's like, why should I let you here? And I'm like, shit, I haven't thought about that. Like normally people are like, yeah, come down. I'm like, oh shit, like this guy's for real. So I pretty much just packed up all my shit. I was living in a house with a couple coworkers in Plymouth, Mass. I packed up all my shit that weekend, dropped it off at my parents' house. I quit my job. I dumped my girlfriend, and I drove out to Missouri. So that conversation with Krause was on a Friday, and by Monday I was packed up. By Tuesday, I had my car packed full of clothes and like a pillow, a mattress, and not even a mattress, like a fucking pad. And I drove out to Missouri, and James found me a place to stay, allowed me to train his gym. By Wednesday, I was in Missouri. By Thursday, I was on the mat. So over the course, in less than a week, I packed up my shit and fucking just left. And then I spent a lot of time out there before I came back. I came back to fight. Then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I can't stay in Massachusetts. I went back to Missouri right after the fight. And then, get to training. I'm thinking I'm fighting again August 28th. I hurt myself. So we pull out of the fight August 28th. And my grandfather passes. So I come back to Massachusetts because they pushed my fight from August 28th to September 25th. My grandfather passes. So I spent a little bit more time at home than I wanted to. So I was just like, fuck it. My grandfather passed. They canceled the whole Cage Titans card September 25th. I'm like, fucking go back to Missouri. So now I'm back in Missouri. I'm training. I get this fight. I come back. I win. I'm headed out tomorrow.
Wow. See, you've been through an awful lot, my man. First off, very sorry to hear about your grandfather. That's awful news. Family's the most important thing to me, as I'm sure it sounds like it is to you too. So sorry to hear that. You did mention, you said you were getting fat, which, for maybe someone like me, like I could maybe get fat, but I doubt you're getting fat. How heavy did you get? Because you fought at featherweight and lightweight. So what did you tip the scales max out at?
Oh man, so this is funny. Like if I'm not careful, I'm a fat kid. Like in high school, I was lifting weights all the time. Like I tried to gain as much weight. I was a football and wrestling captain, so for football, they're like, yeah, get big, lift weights, and I was like, all right, just a fucking meathead. So in high school, I would like get over 200 pounds, and then I'd wrestle at 171. So like me, fat is like 180 plus. Just not being careful, eating whatever I want, So, me in shape, low 60s. I'm in shape. I'm low 160. So, there's a big difference between me fat and out of shape versus me in shape.
Gotcha. Makes sense. I did want to ask you too, making that trip out to Glory and changing your life all as much as you did, that had to have been hard, man. Like how long did it take you to really adjust when you were there and feel comfortable and get comfortable with your new coach and your training partners and teammates? Because as we both know, ultimately friendships come out of being at the gym and training with everyone. So how long did it take you to really feel like this is home?
So it's interesting you ask that. Like you're asking me if it was hard, right? And I guess to like a normal person, yeah, it's got to be hard leaving your friends, your family for X amount of time, and then just like fucking disappear. I didn't tell anyone. I just fucking disappeared. And but to me, I think it was one of the easiest decisions that I could have made. I'm like, all right, the wheels are fucking turning back home, but I'm going backwards, right? It's like I gotta fucking make a change. So I think mentally it was the easiest decision to make, although spiritually it was extremely difficult just fucking leaving everything. So I don't know if that quite answers your question, but for where I want to go and me personally feeling self fulfilled, I need to be training every day. I need to be constantly improving myself. And every day I'm at the gym, I'm leaving a better person. So there's that. And what was the second part of the question?
Just how long it really took you to just adjust and feel like you're at home now because you picked up and moved your whole life out to Missouri at Glory.
Yeah, so it's funny. I show up to this random house and I parked the car, and everyone that's living it's a fighter house. So they're like, "Hey, are you so and so 72 pro fighter?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "All right." And I'm like, "I guess I'm staying here now." So I like introduce myself, and we're like kind of like fucking around, joking around a little bit. And the first day I get greenlighted. Like the first few weeks were extremely rough. Everyone's like, "All right, let's see how good this kid really is." So I'm going with every. I didn't get any easy rounds. Everyone's going super hard. Not maybe not super hard, not with bad intentions, but the intensity was there. And I'll put it like this: it took me 2 days. And in my mind, I call up my coach, and I'm just back home, and I'm like, I'm not leaving. Because my plan my plan was to go there for a month, check it out, see how I liked it. 2 days in, I go, I ain't fucking leaving. So I ended up hitting it off with everyone that lived in that fighter house, and I have a room there right now.
I imagine I'm automatically thinking of like being a contestant on The Ultimate Fighter, like walking into the tough house. Do you kind of like is that a good analogy? Was that kind of what it was like initially, maybe?
Minus the cameras, you know,
Yeah.
like we don't fuck around with each other too much, but you know, I live with a good group of guys, and you know, it's 5 minutes from what more could you want out of a fighter house? It's 5 minutes from the gym. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing fucking glorious. It's not a beautiful house. It's convenient, and for me, that convenience is key. You know, and it's exactly what I need. I need a cheap place to stay that's 5 minutes from the gym to where I can constantly improve myself.
Very good. Well, you've won 5 out of your last 6 fights, man. So you're clearly continuing to evolve as a mixed martial artist. This most
Mhm.
recent fight clearly was your first fight under the Glory MMA banner. How much better are you now versus a few fights ago? And you mentioned that Contender Series opportunity that you could have had if you weren't as heavy as you were. Do you feel like we're gonna see you maybe a Contender Series soon or another big promotion? I mean, I know Cage Titans is amazing, but it's not like UFC or Bellator. So are we gonna see you there here soon? Do you think?
So you, here's the thing, right? In New England, I'm a big fish in a small pond. You know, all the gyms are scattered everywhere, all the talent scattered. No one trains like yeah, you get everyone training together, but it's not like Glory, right? And I'm really happy I left my comfort zone and didn't take that opportunity when it was presented to me because who knows what would have happened. I know for a fact right now I can compete with guys in the UFC, hands down. And and not only compete, like don't get me wrong, I'm not winning every fucking round. I'm not the best guy in the gym by any means. By any means. I get my I get my fucking fair share of beatings. But you know, I fucking keep showing up and I keep getting better. And I remember just thinking a month in, 2 months in, I'm like, I learned more in this month or two than I did in the last 2 years. So I think that's a really eye-opening experience and a really humbling experience. And I'm surrounded by great fucking people. And I know when I get there, when I'm ready to take that opportunity, I'm going to be ready for it no matter what. So this is, you are mistaken. This is my first victory under Glory. I did fight July 10th. My opponent missed weight by 11 pounds. I still decided to take the fight, which, you know, in hindsight, probably wasn't the best idea. You know, I was fighting for the 145 pro title for Cage Titans. And my opponent came in at over 155 pounds. I was like, yeah, fuck it. I want this fight. In hindsight, wasn't the best decision. He stalled out and when I lost 48-47. But what are you going to do? Like, how can I fucking, you know, all I need to do is make smarter choices. And that was an in-fight decision. So much of this fight success was just being smarter, not going into what James calls a black and white move where it's like, all right, yeah, you're in a dominant position and you gave that up to go for something else. And then now you're in a bad position. So it's a complete 180. So just being smarter overall is exactly what I wanted. So there it is, right?
Yeah. And obviously you're talking about the loss to Nathan Williams. I was actually going to ask you what you learned from that setback. And there you go. You answered my next question for me. Now, lightweight versus featherweight. Do you have a preference moving forward? Can we see you at both weight classes, or do you feel like you're going to stick with one or the other?
I'm a featherweight. I'm a through and through featherweight. It's fucking stupid. You know, it's like finding me matchups at featherweight because everyone fucking misses weight. I'm fighting for the 145 title and I'm fighting a guy at 11 pounds. Like at some point, that's fucking cheating. You know, granted, it's still a fight. Whatever, fuck it. Like I lost the fight. Big fucking deal. Big fucking deal. Live to fight another day. Not injured. I'm whatever. You know. So it is what it is. It's still a fucking fight, but you know, I'm a true featherweight. You know, and with even, you know, you might want to test the waters. I might even go down to 35. Me fighting at 55 isn't smart. This was a good matchup that I took advantage of, and it showed.
Okay, very good. When can we expect to see you back fighting next? Are you hoping before the end of 2021, or are we going to have to wait until next year?
So I'm really hoping I can sneak on a card before the year ends. Make that a really, really quick turnaround. I'm in shape. I want to stay in shape. I don't give a shit about holidays. I don't care about Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, any of that bullshit. Those are all excuses for people to take that shit off. I just want to keep pushing. So if I could jump on a card in December, fucking awesome. If I could jump on a card at the end of the month, fucking awesome. If I could jump on early January, fucking awesome. But right now, I have no idea. We'll see what opportunities arise and what matchups I get, because at the end of the day, my goal is the UFC.
Very good. Well, the future clearly is bright, my friend. Don Shainis picks up a big win at Cage Titans 50 just this past weekend over Quinton Weiland. Pleasure talking to you for the first time, my man. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Ryan, thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you, Glory MMA. Everyone out there, the coaches, teammates, everything. I wouldn't have been able to win without a scratch out this past weekend without you guys pushing me. My head coach, Eric Grossman, all my sponsors, you guys are unbelievable. And Shameless Nation, my following is crazy. You know, I'm coming off a loss and I'm still selling out the show back home, completely out of state. You guys are unbelievable. The support and the love is truly felt, and I'm extremely grateful for you guys. And then finally, my manager, Jason House with Iridium, you know, he and his team go above and beyond to help me out and get me to where I need to be. And the future's looking bright, brother.